Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is a handover of a 2017 Bailey Autograph 79-4. So I'm going to walk round on the driver's side of the vehicle. First point you get to is your mains connection point, where you took up if you're charging it at home or you had arrived on site. So get your hooker blade, lift the collar and expose the ends, and then simply slide it on. Always hook the vehicle first, then the power source, and do it in reverse order when unhooking the vehicle. And then next to it you have your water hose. So this is your water intake. So you get your pump, which is a wheel pump, submersible pump, pop it in here. Pop the other end in a aqua roll or container of water, and it'll suck the water into the main tank. You can get an adapter which goes from this type of connection to a hose pipe end, so you may want to carry one of them as well. And this is more for when you're wild camping and you use an aqua roll. Coming further along, we do have your cassette loo. So this is where you would empty the toilet, and using the Bailey key on all the locks you'll be able to open it, push them in and release. And then to get the cassette out, you need to make sure the blade on the inside of the toilet is closed, which I'll show you when we are on board the vehicle. You lift it, slide it out. You've got some wheels so you can drag it to your waste disposal, which is normally behind or beside your toilet block. And then you would remove the grey cap, press the button at the back and tip the content of the cassette out. And then there's a tap, so put some water in, give it a rinse, and tip out again. And then when filling with chemical, a cap full, which is 120 ml of liquid, goes into here, which is either the blue or the green, and then it's good to go back into the van. Behind the back wheel you do have your waste, so take the cap off, which is this one here, and then you'll be able to open it. But you would drive over a grid on the way out of your site and let the waste water out, so you're not travelling home with it or touring with it in, because it's added weight. And remember, in the winter you want to drain this down completely, as you wouldn't want the water to freeze. But your Aldi vent, so this just allows the fumes out when operating on gas. And then in the back here, you've got your garage space, you've got your carpets, your afterbar, your own and winding handle, and that is all heated because these, with the Aldi system, it's piped. So these pipes get warm, so in here stays nice and warm. And you've got these lights which you turn on and off when the control panel's on both sides. And then coming around the rear, you've got your high level brake light, your reverse camera and your parking sensors. Another garage door. And then you've got your Fiamma F45 awning, fridge vents, external gas point. So this is where you can put your awning heater or barbecue point or Kadak. You can connect to the van. So use this quick release gas nozzle that pushes into there. You'll need to get a hose and some Jubilee clips to connect on the other end of it. And then what you can do is you can turn the tap on and off, and that'll work off the main bottle on board instead of carrying a spare for your barbecue. You've got an external power socket and TV point. And then this vehicle, they don't come standard with gas flow, but this one's got a gas flow system on it. The last customer's fitted one. So it's got two 6kg bottles, so you can turn on and off from here, plus and the minus. And then you can read the gauges on the top, and they're in the green, so they're full, because I've just filled this one. And you've got a turnover valve, so you can turn from one bottle to another, picking which bottle that you want the gas to flow off. But what it does is it drains together and then rises together when you fill. And to fill, in the skirt there's a bayonet fitting. Go to your local LPG centre, get the gas nozzle, turn it, pull the trigger back, and then press the display button on the pump, and it'll fill until simply it won't take any more, and that's when you know it's full. So this was empty, and I think this took about £20 and 50 pence to fill. Remember, turn your gas off when you are about to move. You've got your habitation door, which is on the central locking, so top button opens the cab, middle button locks all the doors, bottom button opens the hab door. And then at the door, passenger door, you've got your diesel filler, which opens with main ignition key. And then you've got AdBlue, so since it's a clean diesel engine now, all the new diesels have AdBlue. This is a 19 litre tank. It'll indicate on the dash when it needs AdBlue. Simply pull into the garage, buy it on the pump, it's slightly cheaper, and fill it up. Don't ever run with your light on or run far with the light on, because if it does do a mileage countdown and go completely dry of AdBlue, the engine will not start. Tyre pressures, so these have been configured by Bailey. So it's 69 on the front, 80 on the rear. Engine battery lives underneath the floor, so it's got this compartment here, so if you wanted to charge your battery you can put a charger on, or if you ever need to replace the battery just lift this panel off. And then underneath the seat you've got a toolkit, so it's got a jack and a brace and a toe and iron, everything to change that spare wheel. And your bonnet release is on the side of the dashboard. So to the left hand side, underneath the driver's side, you've got all your fluids, so screen wash. This cover lifts off and you've got power steering fluid and brake fluid, or should I say no, power steering fluid, coolant, brake fluid, engine oil, your dipstick to check the levels, your paint code, your earth for giving or receiving a jump start, as the battery's underneath the cab floor. Earth off there, and just lift this cover up by the passenger headlight and you've got your positive. And there's your weight plate there. So now inside the vehicle, this is your 12-volt control panel. So as you can see in the top left hand corner, you do have a picture of a hookup lead, which means we are hooked up on mains electric. If you didn't have that, you would just be on 12 volt of your leisure battery. You've got this button here, which is your master on and off, so that'll turn on 240 volt or 12 volt. And then you can use the arrows and scroll through, so it tells me that we've got 11% of fresh water in the water tank, 15% wastewater on board. Turn on your internal fill, which is where you'd fill with the submersible pump. You then press enter and it'll start filling. So that's when using the pump into the aqua roll or bucket. And then you've got your external temperature, your user guide, so you can go through the settings there. Your internal temperature, your battery select. You always want your battery select to be on the leisure battery and never the vehicle battery, because you wouldn't want to flatten the vehicle battery, and the leisure battery is designed to work the motorhome. And then you've got the amps currently coming off your leisure battery and the voltage of your leisure battery. So always turn the leisure battery, or unhook the leisure battery to give a true reading, and then you'll see if you need to charge your vehicle or what it's actually sitting at. You've got your pump here, so you can turn your pump on and off, which will pressurize the water to the taps. You've got your lights, which is your master switch for your lights, which is the middle one here, and then they all are individually switched. And then you've got your awning light, which is the light outside the vehicle, which you can turn on and off should you be leaving the vehicle on a night and come back when it's dusk. You'll find your way back to your motorhome. Next to your 12 volt control panel, you've got your Aldi heating and hot water panel. So you turn on with this button here and then press menu, and at the top you've got a house with a thermometer in. This is the temperature that you want the inside of your motorhome to be. So all the way to 30 degrees is the maximum. And you can adjust that with a plus and minus. Then below you've got a picture of a shower head. This is your hot water. So to turn your water on, you'd go halfway onto the half bar, and then full bar means that it's on boost, which the boost setting turns the heating off to prioritize the water. But if you want the heating and hot water on, just make sure it's on half bar, and that'll heat the water up to 60 degrees. But make sure that you do have water in the boiler, otherwise it is just like boiling a kettle without any water in. You're going to burn the element out. And then at the bottom you've got which source you want, so gas or electric. So you've got off there, 1 kilowatt of electric, which you'd use on smaller CL sites and airs if you are abroad. 2 kilowatts of electric, which you can use on most sites throughout the UK, or 3 kilowatts. And then you've got gas on the bottom if you're wild camping, but you can use the gas and electric together if you're in desperate need of heating and hot water. So in the kitchen area you do have 3 rings, one being the hot plate, which is electric, which is the far left hand side one. So you've got to be hooked up for this to work, and that'll save you gas if you are on a site. And then you've got, using the ignition on the front of the cooker, you've got 3 lit gas rings. So once you've used the hob, if you do allow them to cool down before you put the cooker hood down. And then below in the Fedford oven you've got an oven and grill. So you've got your grill, hold it in for a couple of seconds longer so the thermocouple gets warm and allows the gas to continue through. And then below you've got your oven. So you may want to take your grill pan and oven shelf out when travelling, as they can rattle when on the road. And then you've got an arrangement of storage. Grill pan, microwave plate, chopping board, some more drawers for your pots and pans and all your storage bits and pieces that you need to take with you. And then underneath you've got some gas isolation valves here, so any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually serviced, but you can isolate an individual appliance from there. And you've got a plug for the electric hot plate at the back. And then in the kitchen you also have your microwave, which is the 800 watt mains power microwave. So you've got to be hooked up for this to work. And then below you've got your fridge. So Dometic style fridge, very easy to use. You've got 3 sources. So at the top here is off, then turning down you've got the picture of the plug. So this is mains power. It'll act as a mains household fridge. So when you hooked up at a site or you hooked up at home, pre-chilling the fridge a couple of days before you go away, and then generally the night before you'd put your shopping in if you're pre-chilling. So once you've pre-chilled, obviously the temperature of the fridge is already set. Now you're ready to move from home to site or site to site. So you can go on the battery setting here, which is the next one down, which is when the engine's running, it gets a feed from the alternator and it'll turn your fridge into a cool box, and it'll keep the temperature that it's previously been set at until you then arrive back on site and hook back up. Or you go wild camping and you go down for gas, which is the bottom one. This is your temperature knob, so push it in and push your ignition knob in and you'll see the orange band go into the green. Then you can let go and that is lit on gas. We always recommend that with your fridge, when you're not using the van, you give it a clean out. You take all your shopping out, give it a wipe out with some antibacterial, and then you want to leave the door open, because if you don't, what will happen is mold and bacteria will start growing in your fridge because there's no air circulation. So on the side of the light here, push the little tab, and 2 little tabs will come out the front, and then when you shut the door you'll be able to get your fingers down the seal, so air circulation will still be able to get in and out of the fridge. At the back of the vehicle you've got your fixed bed, so this is in day position where you can push it up and you've got loads of space to get round the bed into the bedroom, or you can grab the handle and slide it down like so, and you've got a flat bed, and then just push. That's it. Take the weight of the mattress off first and you'll be able to push it up a lot easier. To the left hand side of the bed, underneath this storage compartment here, is the location of your Aldi boiler. So your boiler does 2 jobs. It heats the vehicle and heats the water. This boiler holds 10 litres of water at any one time. In the winter it's very important that you drain the vehicle off of water. So you would freshen your waste off, you would leave all your taps open throughout the vehicle, and then you would come and drain the boiler off. And to do so, little yellow toggle tap here, it's lying down, stand that up like so, and it will drain all the water out directly out underneath the chassis. Come in with no control panel on and no pump, and it will drain this off, because failing to drain the boiler off will mean that the water could potentially freeze when we have a hard frost in here and damage the boiler. It's not covered under warranty and it's very expensive to replace or repair the boiler. So remember, lift that up onto end, open all your taps so it allows any water out, so that no airlocks are formed and any loose water dribbles out. And then when you come to reuse the vehicle, shut your taps in the vehicle, shut your boiler, shut your fresh, shut your waste, fill the vehicle with cold water via a hose pipe or your aqua roll. Come in, put the pump on, go to the cold side of the tap first, you'll get an automatic pressurized cold water feed. Go to the hot side, it'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises until you get and this is just purging the system until you get a free flow of water from the hot side of the tap. This is when you know that your system is then primed. But in the winter, drain it off, because a hard frost will freeze the water, and you don't want that to happen, because all the pipe work are plastic for lightweightness of the vehicle, and the boiler is very expensive. In your back wardrobe on the left hand side of the bed, you've got your Aldi expansion tank. Because this is a wet system, it isn't air blown, it's got a expansion tank. So you've got a min and a max level. So always check the liquid in the expansion tank when it's off. Obviously, as it's an expansion tank, the liquid will expand when it's on, so it'll come up. But the liquid lifespan is every 5 years. You've got to have this changed. And you can buy the Aldi antifreeze, or there's about 3 or 4 they recommend on their website, so have a look. And then you can top it up from the top by removing that nut and topping the liquid up. You've got a breather pipe there as well for when it's on, and when it is up to temperature you'll see that bubbling away, which is fine, just means the liquid is hot and it's getting bled through the radiators and the fins around the vehicle. Between the cooker and the towel rail on the washroom, if you lift this panel off and unscrew this is your fresh water tank. So to drain your tank off, you'll see that red plug there on a chain. You've just got to pull that out and it'll drain the water directly out underneath the chassis. So if you're putting the van to bed for a while, you're not using it, you've taken on contaminated water, or you're winterizing it, make sure this is drained off and that no water is left in the vehicle over the winter, as you wouldn't want it to freeze, because this is plastic as well and it could crack the tank if it forms to an ice block. So make sure that you drain it off by just lifting the plug and allowing the water out. So now in your washroom, you've got your large shower cubicle. So just make sure they're strapped in, your shower screens when traveling, and then you can unstrap them and use them in the shower. And like I was saying, make sure your shower head is removed from your shower hose, because any water could coil up in this pipe. So just unscrew the shower head and lie the shower hose down with the mixer tap open, and any water will just drain out via the waste. But to operate your toilet, you've got this blue button here, which is your flush, or your electric flush. So you'd press that and flush the toilet first. It's always flushed before use to lubricate the seal between the blade and the cassette. And then to open it, slide this to the right and use the toilet, and then flush after use and slide this back to the left. If you've bought them multi-packs of chemicals, one the blue, one the pink, put the pink into a spray bottle and dilute it, and then spray the bowl before you flush, and it'll clean the bowl and it'll give you a nice fragrant smell in the toilet. Little diagram of a cassette here. You'll get a red light which indicates that the cassette is full and requires to be taken out. So if you get into a habit of opening the blade and shutting the blade after use, when you go to the cassette you'll never be able to unpull it out, because if you do, it means the blade's open. You just need to shut it. So if you do getting into that routine, it'll just come out the van by itself, because you'll not have to run back in to shut the blade. Toiletry cabinet with toothbrush holder there, towel reel, toilet roll holder and towel holder. And you have got your hot water there, and that water is really warm as it's starting to make its way through. There, so that water is hot, and then you plug, just push, and you've got your light with 2 towel reel or cord holders on the back of the toilet door. So in your raised up floor in your lounge, if you lift it up, this is the location of where your table is, with your 2 table legs and your tabletop, which go onto here. And then below that there's a little trap door, and that's got your leisure batteries in. So that's where you would access your leisure batteries. If you were putting it into storage and you didn't have it at home, we always recommend taking the batteries out and putting them on a triple charge at home. And then here you have 2 switches. So you've got this little switch here, which is a fan for the fins, and that's just a 12 volt assisted fan. So it'll, when them fins are warm, it'll circulate the heat. And you've got a 3-pin plug. Underneath the pull-out section for the bed, which we'll get onto in a moment, you've got your Bailey fuse board. So you've got all your RCDs on mains power, so try here before you try your main site. And then you've got all your fuses, so 12 volt fuses. Carry some spares just in case one does blow. You can replenish the fuse on that particular item. The switch behind your fuse board is for your fresh water. So this little rocker switch is for your fresh water tank heaters. So if it's going to be cold overnight, just pop that on. It'll stop the water from freezing in the fresh water tank by the element heating the water by putting current through it to stop it from freezing if it's going to freeze on a cold frosty night. So to make your lounge into the bed, slide this one forward like so, and then slide this one forward, and then you would use your base cushion, turn it the other way around and put it here, with the base cushion that was in the corner at the side. Take the cushion off here and pop it here, and use the small backrest in the middle to create your double bed. And there's more than enough space there for 2 extra guests. And if you are struggling for height room, you can take this out as well, and it'll give you a little bit more length on the bed. But that's how you would make your front lounge into a double bed. So now in the cab, to the right of the driver, you do have your handbrake, and then on the door you have your electric driver and passenger electric windows, and then a choice of mirrors. So you've got your top left and right ones, and then your bottom right and left ones, so you can adjust the top and the bottom to suit. And then on the cab, it has got Rema's carb line, so if you pinch, you'll be able to black the driver and passenger doors out, and do the same with the cab. Slide those over windscreen, slide that over, pinch this one, meet them in the middle, and they are just magnetic. headlight adjustment, rear fog lights, trip computer on the end of the wiper stalk, so that will go through your range, your trip distance, your average consumption, your instant consumption, your average speed, your travelling times and your distance travelled, and there's trip A and trip B. Lights and indicators, and then on the bottom you've got off, cruise control at the top, get your desired speed, push up to speed up, pull down to slow down, and then you can cancel it on the end without touching the brake, and then resume it to the last speed set before the engine was turned off. And then the speed limit on the bottom, so go up slowly goes up in 1s, push and hold goes up in 5s, and it'll tell you on here what your speed limit is. And when you feather the throttle, you'll not be able to go over that speed until you floor the vehicle, which is a safety feature. Pop the accelerator right down to the floor and it will override the speed limiter. 6-speed manual gearbox with lift into reversed, and you'll hear the beeping. That is just the parking sensors, but you do have your rear view camera on this Dometic screen here on the dashboard, which works when going forward as well as in reverse. 2 cup holders, an auxiliary 3.5mm jack and USB, traction plus, hill descent control, which is useless, doesn't work because it's a manual, that's more for an auto. Hazards, locks the doors including the habitation door, so just remember to lock your lockers on a night or when you leave the vehicle. And you've got your heated mirrors, 12 volt and cigarette point. Temperature on the outside ring, so hot or cold, must be on at least fan speed 1 or more for the aircon to work, which is this button here. And then you've got your distribution on the outside ring, so face, feet, screen, and whether you're bringing fresh air in or you're recirculating what's already in the vehicle. Radio, so FM, AM, DAB. So you press 1 to 6 to save your favourite channels. Media is of course USB, auxiliary, Bluetooth, doesn't take a CD. And then to connect a phone, press phone, connect your phone, add a phone. You want to find my car on your phone, press OK. It'll say does the pins match, press pair, and then it'll ask you if you want to download your phone book, just press allow, and then you can scroll through your contacts on the head unit instead of doing it on your phone. And then on the visor here, you've got all your technical information from Bailey of Bristol. So you've got your length, your width, your height, your MTPLM of 3,850 kilograms, so that's your maximum permitted mass, laden mass. And then you do have your mass and running order. So your mass and running order is with your empty, with no payload, is 3,366. And then you've got your tyre pressure, so front 69, rear 80. So all the information you need is on here on your driver's visor.